Hello and welcome to Bla Bla Black Sheep, a weekly yarny podcast where I, Sarah Corth, the SCK handmaid, answer your yarny questions. Link in the show notes below if you have a question you'd like to ask. Hey, can I tell you a little story? You can't say no, so I'm going to anyways. So this morning, too close for comfort, before my kids needed to go to school, my husband and I figured out that my oldest had not eaten breakfast. And so we're like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, somebody ate, no, not somebody. He knew exactly who. Little brother ate the last bagel and now there's nothing for me to have. And so he was like on a hunger strike over this whole thing. He was all ready to just not eat breakfast. And we were like, you will seriously regret that later. You can't do that. So I ended up helping him find something acceptable to have for breakfast. And all was okay-ish. But then in I don't know, someone upstairs just like tapping me on the shoulder, reminding me that when the kids were little, we used to have a saying, and I'm like, we need to bring this back out for the preteen, teen years, I think. And our saying was, they're not giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. Because it's really easy to get frustrated and emotional as an adult, feeling like the kid is being difficult to annoy you, when in reality, they're just little people and they're having a hard time. And I'm noticing even slightly larger little people also have a hard time. So anyways, so I get home from dropping the boys off at school. I usually drop them off and then come home and have my own breakfast. So I do that today. I have been digging the oatmeal. Now that it's chilly out, I have oatmeal almost every morning. I am an old lady, yes. But I put blueberries and pumpkin seeds in mine. So is that trendy? I don't think so. But anyways, so I go and I start putting all the ingredients in to make my oatmeal. And I open up the refrigerator. There is no milk. There is no milk to make my oatmeal. And I was like, ugh. And then I was like, yeah, this is how Colden felt. He also felt, when the thing he was expecting to have for breakfast was not there and not available. And I just think that a lot of times, personal reminder for myself, and maybe for you too, if you have little people in your life, that that we as grown-ups who get to choose the things, we get to choose the food that's in the house, we get to choose what's available, we get to, we just have more autonomy. We forget what it's like to be a little person who has very little control over that, and how annoying and frustrating it is when something you were expecting isn't there for you. So that was like a little give the little people some grace moment. So little life lesson this morning. Thank you for listening. I hope that if you have little people, you can learn from my lesson and not have to not be able to eat your oatmeal to learn it. Or not have your kid having not had breakfast when you're like, we got to get out the door. So there you go. What am I wearing? I am wearing my Nolan hat. You guys? Okay, this is my Nolan hat. I really love it. If you ever notice in my picture, well, first of all, okay, in my pictures that my hats seem a little tall, they are a little tall for me because I have something to learn about me. I have a small head. It's short, and I know people with like longer hair will often wear their hats like down low. I could do that. I don't do it because I like to have some of my hairs showing. It's just how I like to style my hats. So my hats tend to be a little long for me because I don't customize my hats to myself. When I'm designing, I make them to standard fit so that they'll fit people with normal sized heads and not just people like me with small heads. Of course, if you are making this, you can adjust the height so that it fits your head specifically. So this is my Nolan hat. This was my Crochet Cancer Challenge hat last week. I absolutely love it. It comes in a brimmed and brimless version. I don't have the other one here, so I'll show it to you another time, I guess. And so it was part of the Crochet Cancer Challenge. Last week I shared with you, if you did not grab it then, you can grab it now. It's available on Ravelry. The link is in the show notes. And, was I going to say that now? I don't remember, so I'm just going to say it now. And I have the Nolan Cowl, which is coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow. You can get it tomorrow. If you're watching this on Wednesday, it's only a day away. Anyways, so this is my Nolan Cowl. I'm obsessed. I took a whole bunch of pictures last Thursday, and I was so excited to have those done. A, because I had a big pile, and B, because I always tell myself I can't wear my finished items out in public until I take the official pictures of them, because if they get snagged or something, I would cry if I didn't have official pictures done and then there was an issue. So official pictures are done. I'm wearing my Nolan Cowl everywhere, and my Nolan hat. They are matchy-matchy. I have made 3 of these because I'm so obsessed with them. They're so easy to wear. Point being, A, if you are not on my mailing list, get on there quick, because tomorrow it will release exclusively to my mailing list, and they will get the very best discount. So I'm going to tell you guys, this is quick and easy to make, and it's so much fun. Okay, let me show you. So we've got the star stitch on this edge, and then we've got the third loopy-doos here, which make that kind of knitted braided look, which I'm obsessed with, and I love it. But I'm going to turn it back to the side a little more. And there are so many ways you can wear it. We won't go into that now. Maybe we'll do that next week. I don't want it to cover up too much of my shirt. Very excited. People always ask when I share this, what yarn is this? Because it's just, right? Gorgeous. And it is Malabrigo Rios. And it is in their colorway Archangel. And I love it. It's kind of like a pinky, purpley, with some like kind of orangey-ish. It's real gorge. Perfect for, such a dork. Perfect for fall, especially if you like fallish but not traditional fall colors. So there you go. What is bringing me joy, you guys? I traveled to Milwaukee this weekend, and I had the most lovely day with my friend Ashley. She lives in Chicago and I live up by Green Bay, and so Milwaukee is like halfway between us and like a pretty reasonable drive. So we should do it more regularly, but at least once a year in the past couple years, we have met in Milwaukee. And last year we toured every yarn shop we could find, and this year we were like, we just want to chill. So we parked in the 3rd Ward, which I had never been to. Super cute little place with lots of cute little shops. We hung out at a coffee shop for a while. We went and had lunch. We wandered around a bit. We went to another coffee shop. We were going to go to a yarn shop, but we didn't get there before they closed. So we were just kind of like, meh. it was just lovely to sit and talk and craft together. So, and that brought me just an immense amount of joy. Highly recommend, if you can, carve out some time to spend with your friends. It's good for you. And it's good for your family, for you to be gone for a little bit. I know that can be hard to A, believe, and B, like, accept that, like, they will survive without you. It's good for them to figure out how to get the snacks and do the things when you're not around. They're capable people. And then you come home and they're so excited. So much recommend, very much. All right, let's talk small businesses. I'm going to maybe take off my cowl here to show you. I've shown you before, but I'm going to show you again. My Woodland Stitchcraft. I call this my faux local yarn shop shirt. The Hocus Pocus yarn shop. I love it. I'm going to wear this year round. It's not going to be just a Halloween thing, even though I know Hocus Pocus is kind of a, not kind of, it's a Halloween-ish. Why do I keep saying ish? Oh my gosh. It's Halloween-y, right? And so, but I just think the design is not too Halloween-y. It's maybe a little more witchy than Halloween-y. And I just think it's so cute. And so I will be wearing it year round. If you need to support your faux local yarn shop, I'll put a link in the description for all of these things so that you can check them out. Take a sip of my coffee and then show you my coffee mug. Yes, this is the same one as last week. Yes, I will be sharing this every week in October. I will be drinking out of this cup as often as I can because it's seasonal and I love it. This is by Cheeky Ceramics, of course. And then I have some more fall earrings on. These are also just fall-ish and not Halloween. These are by P's and Q's Creative Designs. There we go. They've got those cute little leaves. They've got all my favorite fall colors. The mustard, that it's like a real deep maroony, and this really classy little gold hangy do, because you know me and my vast knowledge of technical things. The hangy do. And so those are my small businesses. Cheeky Ceramics and P's and Q's Creative Design are local to me. And so it's like extra fun bonus when I can support a small business and a local to me maker. So yay. But Bonnie of Woodland Stitchcraft is a good friend, and so I love supporting her too. Highly recommend. I'm trying to pester her into more t-shirts because her designs are amazing. And I want to wear them on my t-shirts. I have lots of her stickers. So check her out. Great idea for presents, the stickers. So I like to order a bunch of them and then give them away. Announcements. Okay, that is reminding me that as I was making my plan here, I thought there's one more thing I wanted to announce. And I just remembered talking about Bonnie's stickers. Hey, you remember like 5 episodes when I had a little giveaway? You guys, I'm the worst. You know what? If I'm being real honest, October has just turned out to be a much harder month for me than I thought it would be. So I apologize. Episode 25, where I did the giveaway, I replied to people's comments who won, giving them my email address and asking them to email me. And if you are a winner, please email me, and then I will send you your prize. And I have a little bonus for you too. So make sure you send that to me so I can get it out to you. The Crochet Cancer Challenge is still going on. So make sure you go to Christine's blog every day and check out the new hat. Lots of really great hats for donating, and some really unique hats, which is fun. So, the Olivio Mystery Cal, or M-Cal, if you will, is still going on. I'm going to spoiler clue number 2. So if you don't know clue number 2 and you don't want to know, like, I don't know, zip ahead or close your eyes for a minute. I'll let you know when I'm done. All right, so here is my first one. As you know, if you've been here with us for a while, I'm making a lot of these, which is so funny because I'm teaching a class on this, and one of the ladies who's in the class, she was like, I started like 7 of them. It's just going to be all my Christmas gifts, which I love. It's so fun. Okay, so we took the triangle from last week and we joined it and we've turned it into a cowl. So we're working upwards this week. This is not blocked, which is why it's kind of funky, and it's been folded up in my bag here. This is my yarn from Ritual Dyes. I love how it's working up. I was lazy, and this is hand dyed. With hand dyed, a lot of times you should really like alternate your skeins. I didn't do that. I was lazy, so you can kind of tell where my second skein was added in, but that's fine. I don't mind. This one is completely done with clue number 2. And so it's all ready for clue number 3. But I will confess, when I was flying through the little triangle parts last week, I was like, I'm so good at this. And then when we got to the big cowl, I was like, oh, 3 maybe wasn't the best idea. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm telling myself, you get done what you can get done. It'll all be fine. So then this is my second sample with my Haute Knits, and you can see I'm not as far on it as I am with the Ritual Dyes one. But let's see if I can get this in a light where you can see. There is still some color pooling, which I think is interesting because, like, can you see? If I hold it back, is it better? No. If I hold it up, is it better? You can kind of see, it looks like a shadow there, but it's not a shadow. There's color pooling in some places. Now, I just added my second skein. Where is that? Oh yeah, I just added my second skein like a few rows ago, and I'm feeling, knock on wood, that there's less color pooling. But also, as I said last week, because this is a cowl, it's going to be kind of scrunched down and moving and everything. So I don't think the color pooling is going to be as evident. If this were a top, I would for sure be frogging. So that's number 2. And then number 3, which is my sample for the yarn shop. I'm even less far along. This is what I got done during the class yesterday. But you can see the stitches, very pretty. I'm not even to the second section on this one. But real quick, I want to show you a couple things that I'm loving here. So I got some new notions from Twice Sheared Sheep, which you've heard me talk about them before. And I got, let me take one of these off and see if I can show you. I got these little stitch markers, and I have to confess, I was a little skeptical. Can you see they're a little kitty cat, but they don't like clamp completely closed. So I was a little skeptical that they would work, but I think it's the way that they're weighted. They stay put. I've been using them to mark my ends of rows, so I don't have to like muck around with that when I'm tired and working on these. And they've stayed put. They've stayed put going in and out of my bag. They've stayed put while I'm stitching around, which I really love. And then I wanted to give you a little tip with a product from Twice Sheared Sheep that I really love. When you are first joining this part in the round, It's real easy. We're going in turned rounds here. So you're working with the right side facing you and then the wrong side facing you and then the right, wrong, right, wrong, right, wrong. And when you're starting at the beginning of this, it can be easy to get it twisty or to not be sure if you're on the right side or the wrong side row. And so Twice Sheared Sheep has these stitch markers that have an R for right and a W, stop spinning, a W for wrong. So you can put those on your project and then you just know right side, wrong side, and you don't have to be stopping and thinking about it. And let me tell you, as someone who's making 3 of these, I don't have time to stop and think about it. So I really am enjoying those notions from them. You know, if you've been around here for any amount of time, I love Dawn, the owner and creator and founder and all the things of Twice Sheared Sheep. She is a lovely lady with a really unique life experience. I'm going to tell you again. If you have not watched my Meet the Maker with her, you're missing out. She's a very interesting lady. So I'll link all of those things below, including the notions that I talked about. So if you want to go snag them, highly recommend. All right. There you go. That's it. Except for questions. We're ready. We're ready for the questions. Ready for the questions. Okay. First, I wanted to say, this is like a little pre-question suggestion. I like how that sounds. Question suggestion. So, while I was taking all of my pictures last week, yes, there were over 200 of them, I thought to myself, I get a lot of really nice compliments on my pictures, which is so sweet. So sweet. But I don't think people understand the extent of behind the scenes to get the nice picture that you see. So it is a process that has taken me years to perfect. When I started out, my pictures did not look great. And I have also found a way to perfect getting quick pictures. And so I shared a reel, just flipping through like all the pictures. And the idea was to show the quantity of pictures that I take, and then B, the fact that when you pull out from the unedited picture, there's stuff around me. There's, a weird shadow or a plug-in or, that kind of stuff. The dog kennel. And to kind of show people like the end perfect nice thing is not where it starts and is not something that gets accomplished every time. So my question then was, would you like me to share some of my knowledge about taking pictures of your finished items? I've always been very on the fence about this because my main audience, the main people I'm talking to, are not designers. But I also understand that in a time of social media and pattern testing, that it can be very valuable to people who just want to share their finished makes, or people who are pattern testers and want to give really nice pictures to the designers to be able to share. That instead of you all like struggling through all the stuff that I have figured out over the years and years, like I could just tell you what I know and give you my tips and tricks. So here's what I want. I got on Instagram, I got a resounding like, yes, please share. But I would really like to know what you want to know. What do you struggle with? What equipment do you have to use? And then I want to answer your questions. I don't want to just ramble on about all the things I know. So I would love it if you would go to the show notes, just the extra things listed below, and submit your questions for what you would like to know about taking pictures of your finished makes, modeling pictures of your modeling pictures, taking pictures of yourself modeling the finished makes. And then I would love to answer some of those or all of them at some point. So yeah, I would love it if you would do that. So here we go then. Question number 1. Question number 1 is, how do you decide on what to design next? And do you think you will ever start designing garments? Okay. I'm going to try to keep this like not too long of a discussion on this. How do I decide on what to design? I design what I want. I have recently, in an effort to rein back in my sanity and my time, been really trying to focus on 2 things in my designs. The first is I want to have my tiered system. My main goal as a designer is to teach. And so the tiered system, starting out with a small project that teaches you one thing, one new thing, hopefully, or maybe a couple small new things, and then moving you on to a bigger project where you can up your game just a little bit, practice the stitch more, maybe mix it in with some other kind of basic stitches, make pretty basic shapes. And then tier 3, which is usually having some shaping, maybe mixing up the stitches a little more depending on the stitch. And so that system, the 3-tier system, is really important to me. And to help hem that in a bit, I've done a couple things. One, I listened to this lady who has a podcast, and she calls herself the Lazy Genius, which I love. And one of her techniques is to decide once on things that could come up again and again as a decision to make. You just decide, not in perpetuity, but for now, what is the answer to that? And then that's always the answer to that. So a life example of this is I have decided once for teacher gifts. There is a local cafe that is amazing. For teacher gifts, I get them a gift card to the local cafe. As a former educator, I much appreciated a little gift card where I could go treat myself and not feel like I was cutting into the budget. Guilt-free treating myself with a little gift card. I appreciated that much more than little trinkety things, or even handmade items, especially food, because no matter how great a cook you are. Okay, real quick, I'm gonna tell a story. When I was teaching, we could do home visits, and we would go into houses, and you would go into some of these houses, and they'd be wonderful, lovely, nice families that seemed perfectly fine and normal. And they weren't perfectly fine and normal, but I distinctly remember going into this one house of this family that I really enjoyed and never would have imagined this to be the case. But they had 3 dogs and 5 cats and a bird that they let jump around their kitchen counters. And I was there and it pooped on the counter. And I'm not saying that they didn't clean everything very thoroughly before they cooked on that counter. But from that point on, I did not take homemade baked goods. Well, hello, sir. I did not take homemade baked goods from families because you just never know. So, rest and stretching. So that's that. That's why I appreciated a little gift card that I could, even $5, I could go to, the local coffee shop and get a little coffee or a little cookie or something. So that's my decide ones for teacher gifts. So for my tiered system, my decide ones is that my tiers are going to be a coffee cozy, a cowl, and a hat. So for the most part, my 3 tiers, that's what they're going to be. And I'm working to slowly get my tiers to hem into that. I have decided with my making of the little notions bags that might be a tier 1 for some of them, especially lacier stitches. Oh my gosh, so many tangents, Sarah. I really want to try one of those bags with a more open stitch and take the canvas bag and like tie-dye it or paint it or something. Anyways, so those were my decide ones. Oh my gosh, I've talked about this so long. My tablet shut up. And then I'm doing shawls. I really thought that this last year was the year to get into garment designing. I had even taken some classes and had some inspiration for garments to design. But here's the thing. I'm just not ready. It was causing me additional stress, and not like minor additional stress. It was causing me like can't sleep at night, breaking out in dry patches on my skin anxiety. And so I decided to just let that go and focus on something that I really love, both to wear, yes, and to design, and that's shawls. And so I have my 3 tiers and I have my shawls, and I've decided once that not forever, but for now, for sure, that's what I'm working on. And from there, I find stitches that I find fun and love to make my 3 tiers. And then for my shawls, I sometimes take those stitches and mix them together and put them into a more complicated shawl. Or I'm not going to give away too much, but I've been really inspired recently from a personal problem that I have with my yarn buying. And I was like, I'm going to start designing specifically to solve that problem. And so that was my inspiration for that. Yarn and colors a lot of times. I like playing with shapes of shawls. I feel like every shawl shape is unique in the way you can wear it and style it. So I really enjoy that. Do you need to be let out? Okay, you go to your chair. Hello. And so that's how I decide. If I'm looking for something comforting, I do something that I know and have experience with. He's coming back. Stinker pants. And if I'm like really feeling a challenge, then I go in a different direction and try something really unique and different. And I really like to mix it up. And I feel like as a crocheter, as a crafter, because I'll be honest, most of the time when I am crafting for fun, I'm knitting. I like a mix. Sometimes I'm really feeling the being challenged, and sometimes I'm really feeling the just repetitive, relaxing sort of thing. So, do I think I'll design garments? I don't know. I'm finding my groove and my my sweet spot. I tend to be an overthinker. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. When I first started designing, my biggest fear was that I wouldn't have any ideas, that I would like dry up with ideas. And it's been exactly the opposite. I cannot work fast enough to keep up with my ideas. And so I've already started planning next year. I've plotted out things that I know that I want to do. Part of it is because I've done some design proposals for yarn companies. But part of it is just an effort to be ahead of the game, because when I'm behind on things, or I feel like I'm behind on things, that's what stresses me out. And B, to give myself some more breathing room to narrow down what I'm doing so that I can have time to play and to let go of my business a little more and not feel like I need to take it with me literally everywhere I go. So garment designing, I am having a little bit of fun, and hopefully if I hem myself in a little bit next year, I'll have more time for this. I'm having fun designing garments just for me, like not to publish, but like just seeing, like, when I do this construction, what does that look like on my body, and do I like it or do I hate it? And there's no pressure to get it done. There's no pressure to make it fit other people. And so I hope to do a little more of that, which may eventually roll into designing garment patterns, but it might not. So we'll see. Okay, question number 2. This is also a designing problem question. This is also a designing question. That question number 2. Do you think you need to be at a specific level before you start designing? This is a great question. I am the type of person who often puts things off because I feel like I need to be an expert before I start. And to that I say, don't be me. No, I don't think you need to be at a specific level. I think the level you need to be at is proficient enough to be able to explain things correctly. But that's also something you can learn. The reason I actually started publishing my designs was because I had been designing things but not publishing them because I felt like I wasn't fancy enough. And I did a pattern test for a designer who I felt was very fancy. She was, from all I could tell, quite successful, had gorgeous pictures, someone I looked up to from a designing standpoint. And when I tested for her and I opened up her pattern, I was like, well, this isn't fancy. And not like in a bad way, but like in an aha, it doesn't have to be some elaborate format. It can be clean and simple and still be successful. And to this day, the format that I decided on, because of realizing from her pattern that it did not have to be complicated, I still use it. It's clean, it's simple. It's not like, there are people who have like gorgeous fonts in all of their little places and like borders around everything. And that is wonderful for them. And I appreciate the aesthetic of that when I purchase a pattern like that. But clean and simple is more me. I mean, bright and colorful, but still clean and simple. So I don't think you need to feel like you need to have all of this graphic design knowledge to make a pattern. I make my patterns in Word. So you don't need to have fancy knowledge of some Adobe blah, 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 to make a pattern. And a pattern does not have to be a certain level of difficulty to be a pattern. I will say, as a caveat to that, the more simple the pattern, the more likely that A, it's already out there somewhere, and B, that someone else will in the future come up with the same design. For example, I saw a designer complaining one time that someone stole her design, and out of I've matured past this a little bit because this really grinds my gears. Out of curiosity, I went to see what design she was talking about, and it was an icy pop sleeve. You know, people who like their kids, not me. I just tell them suck it up and have cold fingers. They make these little icy pop sleeves that you can slide over the icy pops, and then your hands aren't cold while you eat the icy pop. And so her icy pop sleeve was just a thing of single crochets. Is that too simple a pattern? No. But when your pattern is just single crochets in a circle that fits over an icy pop, should you have the expectation that no one has ever or will ever come up with that? No. Should that stop you from publishing it? No. I also don't believe that it's your responsibility that if you come up with something to then go scour the internets to make sure that no one in the history of crocheting has ever done that. Let me tell ya, someone probably has. This is not a new art, and there are only so many stitches out there, and so it happens. I have I try my hardest not to have any animosity to people who have designs that are similar to mine. I don't go out and go to other people's crochet designs for inspiration. I trust, and maybe naively, but I trust other people to do the same and just come up with inspiration on their own and from other things. But if we both open the same stitch guide and decide to use that one stitch from that stitch guide, could we come up with the same sweater pattern? Yep, we sure could. So I guess that's my big tangent on design copying. If you publish simple designs, that's awesome and totally fine. And you just need to be aware of the reality of the more simple the design, the more likelihood that it has both been done and will be done in the future. And that's fine. I just want you to I don't want you to stress about it. It always makes, now, it used to be like, watching I don't know, something you can't take your eyes away from. When people would be like, so-and-so stole my design, and back and forth and kind of stuff. It was kind of like, oh gosh. And now I just feel bad. I just feel bad for the people that they let themselves get so caught up in that negative scarcity mindset, and that they're like really ruffled and upset. It's just a waste of time and energy and bad emotions. Like, I just try to assume the best of people. I'm a grumpy driver. And what I will do if I'm particularly grumpy someday when I'm driving, I will literally make a story for the other people who are being bad drivers to give them an excuse for their bad driving. So if somebody is like zipping by me at a rate that I'm like, that is incredibly dangerous, instead of being like, what a bleepin' bleepity bleep. How dare they be so dangerous? I think to myself, maybe there's an emergency. Maybe they just found out that their kid got in a car accident. Maybe they're literally racing to the hospital because somebody's in the back seat giving birth as they are driving. Is that probably what's happening? Probably not. But it makes me feel like there are reasons that could be happening, and instead of assuming the worst, that they're just being a jerk, I try to assume the best, that there's some valid reason for their poor behavior. So that's what I do with designing too. If you have more questions about starting designing, how I started designing, what you need to do to start designing, ask another question and I'd love to share. We've already gone a very long time. I thought this was going to be a short one. Why do I lie to myself? It's never going to be a short one, Sarah. It's fine. It's fine. So thank you for sticking with me. I would love to hear more of your questions. I always enjoy answering them. Have a marvelous week. Spend some time with a friend and happy crafting.